Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies both new and old with a strictly positive critical
That's
eye.
right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we decided to make this episode a little bit of a drinking game.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime we say anything negative about a film, each other, our guest host, you're going to hear this sound.
You're going to hear it a
That
lot.
sound means that we're going to take a drink, and we hope you drink along with us.
So, pour yourselves a glass as we discuss a movie about the ultimate deadbeat dad who went all the way to fucking Neptune to avoid child support.
Jesus Christ.
Remember when he got billed on the spaceship to the moon? They're like, yeah,
Dude.
it's going to be $150. And he's like, just put it on the fucking corporate card. What are you
Dude, they
doing,
nailed
billing me for pillows
the
going up-
in-flight charges.
Was it like the pillow
Yeah.
and blanket?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Pillow, blanket, $100. Yeah.
$125.
That's what
Yeah.
Delta's charging for headphones these days.
I mean,
Come at me,
what,
Delta.
What kind of... Hey, that Delta Skyliner. They can do
You
whatever they
can't
want.
make fun of Delta on the show.
No! Corporate consolidation sucks now. Okay, people, welcome to the Love of Cinema podcast. We are going to be talking about films from the year 1991 thanks to our random year generator, which we started doing before the strike. And we're going to keep doing because we love doing it. I just said 1991.
1991.
We did a great 1991 where we talked about Point Break, but today we're going to be talking about 2019 part one. We're doing a two-parter this week. Sorry, I'm going to take my little drink here. We're starting with James Gray's Ad Astra with a little Napoleon mini review at the top for the two of us that saw Napoleon this weekend, an opening weekend.
Because he's small.
And then in part two, released a couple days after part one.
I thought I got away with it.
Part two of our 2019 episode, we're going to be talking about Frozen 2 because our Frozen 1 episode, which I was not a part of, included our guest here, Mark, who took over for me while I was in a U-Haul. And I got to listen to these three guys talk about a movie musical, even though I teach fucking music to kids. I wasn't there that day.
He wasn't moving either. He was fucking kidnapped.
It was the most times anybody said the word fuck in a podcast talking about Frozen in the history of podcasts.
For a while there, also held the record for the most number of buzzers in a single show.
Really?
And it was then only broken by the same guest co-host when we talked about Conan the Barbarian.
You've
Ladies
held,
and
yes,
gentlemen,
Mark, you have held both the records on the show.
No.
if you know our show, you know we love the Matt and Mark movie show. So back with us here is Mark Monstroski. Mark, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to be back. Hopefully it will break some more records.
We are
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it already.
Dave is certainly hoping
Christ.
so. Mark, anything you want to plug before we get into the episode here? Anything that you and Matt have been up to? Anything
I guess
coming
I'll
up?
plug the Matt and Mark show. That I fucked up. I fucked up our title. Hey, I had a shot of tequila, so I'm totally going to screw this up now. But
Wait, it's not even tequila. It's not even tequila. It's mezcal.
oh yeah. Shit.
It's about Mark show. That's so good.
All right, away.
Funny.
But yeah, we're taking a break, but we'll be doing Patreon episodes, which will be super fun. And then the show comes back, I think, in December or mid-December. So
Cool.
we'll be taking a little break.
You guys taking a break because are you fighting? Are there problems?
I think it's just like
it is.
it's sort of like the holidays. You kind of need a break, so we're just having a little bit of
Sure,
calm.
yeah.
But
I
we're
mean,
still doing the
sure,
Patreon.
Sure, if you
Yeah.
like your
So-
family.
You are still releasing the Patreon stuff, which
Yeah.
is cool. I do support you guys.
Matt and I get along
That's
really
awesome.
well. It's sort of
Yeah,
like
it's
our
fucking great.
hangout for our, we used to go to movies like every week. So now it's just been replaced since we're both in two different areas. So,
This happens.
but it's a
We've
fun
been
show
there.
to
Yeah,
do.
man. No, it's same
We've been
here.
there. Well, we love seeing movies with you. Dave and I saw Cocaine Bear with you, which was really fun.
Yes.
We also saw. Did we see Renfield together? Probably not. And then we also saw Indiana Jones. I don't think so. And then we saw Indiana Jones with you
In the
brought
same theater.
ladies.
Yes.
Angela said
Oh, that's
she
the
really,
one where I bought like 5 tickets.
Yeah.
Angela
Yeah.
said she
You walk
can't
in the
wait
line.
to she can't wait to someday qualify for the handicap seat so she can sit next to you at the movies. She can't wait. I'm sorry.
I
she
was
didn't say
actually
that.
thinking though, I think I told Dave this, but I'd love to get 2 of those A-list accounts so I could at least block the other seat. That's my goal.
Wait, but when we were in Dolby Digital, those seats are huge. You can't. You're like so far from the person
I
next to you
just
anyway.
don't like sitting next to people.
I just don't like
people
people in
listen to us
general. What
are
do you
Are you
think?
talking about
That's a good point.
when I was still living in New York? I thought your coveted seat was row F in the Times Square Dolby Atmos.
Oh.
Have you changed?
No Times Square. That place is full of bed bugs.
Whoa.
So I'm always
Really,
at
again?
68th Street. Oh, I got buzzed
What are you
for
bu-
that.
I mean, hey, he's giving him
They
that's a
clean it up.
PSA.
They clean it up. I haven't got a
PSA.
single bed bug. I've had screenings fuck up, but I haven't had a single bed bug.
I will say this is true because Dave has complained about the AMC Times Square more than anybody else in the history here, and here he is saying, "Correct yourself, no bed bugs there." That is he's sticking up for fucking AMC Times
Yeah,
Square. Wow.
the
That's
floor
the
is
line.
sticky, the
That's the
seats are
line for
broken, the
today.
projectors don't work, but no, there's no bed bugs.
By the way, this is true. In the 3 times I've gone to the Dolby at 68th Street, all 3 times a mouse runs out in the center aisle, goes to the seat where I am, looks at me, and then runs back. And I've told them about this 3 times, and it's still there.
Yeah, they're like,
No.
dude, you're watching a fucking Disney film. That's the opening logo.
That's Mouse House. All right, guys. We're gonna be
That's
talking
how all
about
Marvel movies start now.
All right, we're gonna be good and toasty when we talk about Frozen 2. So if you like this episode, please listen to our Frozen 2 episode. It's gonna be fun. Let's go ahead and shout our sponsors out. Then we'll get into our Napoleon mini review, and then we'll talk about what was going on in 2019, and we'll talk about Ad Astra, starring Brad Pitt, 2019, a movie that apparently people said, "Nah, I don't want to see another space movie this year," even though it made its money back. John, you want to shout our sponsors back?
Sure. We have a beer sponsor. His name is Carlos Barroso. You can find him at cbarroso.beer. We also have a music artist in residence known as Dasein. That's Dasein, Dasein. And he's available on all the usual music platforms. Go stream that music. Or you could be like Matt and Mark and take his money in the Patreon account because he supports
right.
you guys. He loves your
He loves them
shows
so much more than us,
He doesn't give
despite
us
his
any
generous
money.
offering of his, despite the music he gives us.
Yeah.
Oh, can I thank him publicly
yeah, to say-
for recommending The Night House because Matt refuses to see it. So it was very kind of him to
The Night
Yes. I've only ever
so
made it
great.
halfway through that.
Yeah, I think he's reviewed. He told me he's recommended a few things to you guys, and you just fucking crashed me. There was something else. That it was a movie.
Captain Phillips or something.
Come on, Captain
Oh my
Phillips.
God.
There was a couple more.
I am the captain.
There
What
was
do you
another
mean?
one that he really liked, and he just heard you guys just fucking destroy
We're
it.
so
He got a kick
sorry.
out of it.
I'm not sorry.
No, man.
But it's okay. If you want to publicly thank him, you should do it on your show, though, because he doesn't listen to ours. But he will.
Also, he says,
Wait, who? Oh, he buzzed. Dave.
No, he did. He actually. To Brandon's point, I will say, you guys. I'm wondering if we should start announcing what movie we're going to do on the episode because I think people used to listen to what they were going to watch the next week, and they might watch some movies from that year.
and then we
Keeps
start
asking me what
ruining it
we're
for them.
watching, and
Wait,
then I just noticed that
Wait.
like, one of our regular listeners,
He watches till the end.
you know what I mean?
Wow.
He makes it to the end.
He's
No,
having
no, like when we used to do the random year generator,
Yeah.
when we used to do it, we would
Yes, we
announce
would.
the year, and
Yeah.
we would announce the movie, and then some people would watch movies from that year to build up to the following week.
I'm totally fine to do that. It's got to be much quicker than the fucking text thing we've got going on in the middle all through the week.
Which is great. I would love that
We
this
can do
week,
what we
by
used
the
to do
way.
and take a break.
Angela's birthday next week. I would love to decide right away. Although our break lasted half an hour sometimes. We were fighting over movie. Mom and Dad are fighting over what movie to watch.
I'll just clap and give Dave a nice audio mark, and then I'll clap again when we're done, and you can just cut all everybody's edit.
Oh no,
from there. How about
don't
that?
worry, I'm good. I've got a little audio marker I put in this thing now. It's so high pitched, I don't think I can hear it.
We just lost half our audience. So we got to move
Sexy.
on into
Speaking of sexy,
Section 2.
yeah.
Okay, so Napoleon came out in theaters this week. This is Ridley Scott's epic about, you guessed it, Napoleon. I don't want to spoil much, but Napoleon did die.
Yeah,
So
it's how they get those 3 flavors to sit together without blending.
all right, so if you're new to the show, so keep us talking about some new movies, but without taking over too much time, we're going to be doing mini reviews. So we talk about movies that were just released, spoiler free, 5 minutes tops. Mark, I believe you and I are the only ones who went out and saw Napoleon.
Damn.
Mark's
Did it
going to
do
get that
well?
joke at about 3 a.m. too.
No, I got it.
Let's let
Is that a
one of the-
Neapolitan joke, right?
Yes, it was.
let's let one of the other twos.
You don't have to laugh at his shitty jokes. welcome
Okay,
to
I'll
the
just
show.
buzz him then.
Well, we're recording here on Sunday, so it is still the weekend. But let's let somebody who didn't see the movie go ahead and give us the numbers while we talk about whether or not we like the movie. Mark, Napoleon, starring Joaquin Phoenix, Vanessa Kirby, and a whole bunch of people that you may or may not recognize. Kind of starts from French Revolution all the way through Napoleon's, again, spoiler, he dies at some point in history. Somewhere through there, it goes through. Mark, did you like the movie?
I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't what I expected. I thought it was going to be more military battles rather than his back and forth letters. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it looked gorgeous. It's an amazing looking film. I like those battle sequences. I thought he did a good job. Sometimes it's weird when the French with English accents are fighting the British with English accents, and then also the French people have American accents. So there were certain parts where I was like, who's who? I couldn't figure it out. It's not like the Ferrari
it was Dune
film
all
where
over again.
But I thought it was great. What did you think?
I really liked it. I think this is one of those where like two things can be true. I really liked it, and if I really wanted to, I could also rip it to shreds. But I really don't want to, because by rip it to, I don't mean rip it to shreds like I know all the things they got wrong. I mean rip it to shreds in the sense that like there are definitely things to gripe about with this movie. You do feel the runtime. It's 2 hours and 38 minutes. I think a lot of people are talking about I think the honest to God truth is it's sort of centerless, or I don't want to say pointless, but it's like, I don't know exactly. It's toggling a bunch of different tones. So like a lot of it is about like,
do you get the
Josephine
feeling
and
of
him.
why was this story made?
You know me,
that's
I
the thing
don't
I'm worried
want
about
to,
watching it.
I never ever want to say like they shouldn't have made this movie or why did they
No,
make this
it's
movie.
more
I don't
of
want that.
you're sitting there going, well, what was so special about this story that we don't already know? Like, why was this
And you know what?
elevated?
I mean, I guess I'm sure some people will, but again, to Mark's point, the battle sequences are so good, and the military through line I think was great. It could have been more. I don't think it should have been, but it could have been. But the battle sequences, there's no way you can leave this movie without being really struck by the battle sequences. I don't want to give too much away, but the first
There's no way you can leave this movie without a UTI. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes long.
All right. The first military win in which he gets promoted, and then there's an ice battle later that is sort of a surprise kind of thing, is so fucking cool. Like, you can't sit there and say they aren't. But then there's also a lot with the wife, the Josephine character, who's played by Vanessa Kirby. But it's not exactly like Abigail and John Adams. It's like, it comes in and it sort of becomes this like quirky comedy, and like Napoleon's kind of bumbling, and they kind of like have this weird rapport, and he like has really bad sex, but like they still fall in love. And that's
They're very
fun.
toxic for each other.
Very toxic for sure, but that's not like the center of the movie. It is for some times, and then you have this military prowess, but then you also have the political stuff, and so it kind of like it's sort of all over the place as far as the tone. And you're like, is this just about power? Is it just about the politics? Is it just about the French Revolution just immediately turning to a fucking king again? Like, is that what it's about? And I don't know if it decides. So it's sort of centerless, but at the same time, it's so fucking fun and entertaining.
It sort of like glosses over a lot of things. It feels like it's giving you like a brief glimpse into his life, and maybe could have been it may have been longer perhaps, and maybe
weird?
we will get a director's cut that's like 4 hours long. Who knows? But I thought it was handled really well. But I do agree with you. Sometimes like it came across as comedic because anytime he encountered a problem, it was always like cannons. He lined up cannons, and then as soon as there was a problem, then you'd see him cover his ears and do this, and then the cannons would fire. So it just felt like that was his reaction to any sort of adverse thing that happened. He would just blast people with cannons, which I kind of enjoyed.
Why is
There
the
were so
tiramisu
many
not on the
cannons.
menu?
There were so many cannons in this movie. So anyway, I think this movie was really awesome. I think it was really cool. Sometimes you really feel the length, and at the same time, it's kind of like, well, maybe if it was longer, it would have been better. But maybe if it was shorter, like Gladiator, where they just all of a sudden it's the final battle, and you're like, wait, how did he become a global celebrity already in like a half an hour of gladiatorism? So anyway, I think it was really cool, but I just think it was centerless. That's what I think.
Gladiatorism.
Gladiatorism.
And I think it is worth pointing out that this project was initially developed for like 17 years or something by Stanley Kubrick. It was like this project that he had been working on for so long, and he never felt like he was quite ready to make it. Apparently, he was still intending to make it. It was one of those that he just never let go. So that along
Now
with
we'll never know.
I know everyone just nod and pretend like he's still talking.
Oh no, you can't.
you're back. It's fine.
that's too
Our
bad.
YouTube viewers are confused, but the podcast people aren't. So you keep
Yeah, it's
going, and
fine.
we'll pretend like we're talking about.
Okay, I will keep going. The project passed along with AI to Steven Spielberg, and then I think Napoleon was kind of languishing in development hell for a very long time. So it is kind of cool. It's kind of cool that we got to see that. And Oppenheimer was also very, very long developed initially by, God damn it, JFK, Platoon.
Oliver Stone?
Oliver Stone. No, he would have done a good version.
Oliver Stone.
All of these versions would have been good.
Like,
they all would have been good.
Really. Yeah. Anyway, so it's cool. It came to fruition. I can't wait to see it.
Did you hear the
I'm hearing
the
what you guys
Oppenheimer
are saying, and I think I'm
4K release came out, and you can't get a copy of it anywhere. It's like fucking sold out.
Which one?
Like
What?
The Oppenheimer
No, I
release.
didn't hear that.
Oh, really?
Oh, has it happened yet?
They dropped it on physical, and you can't buy it anymore. It's sold
It's
out.
okay. The movie stunk.
Yeah. Jesus, Mark.
God, you guys are fucking bussing.
I will say, I'm not gonna gripe this, but we're having that problem again where we need more fucking IMAX screens at these theaters, because we like Saturday during the day, Angela, we really wanted to see this, but fucking Wish came out and that has an IMAX format.
What?
And so you could only see this in the morning or at night because the midday family times all went to Wish. And then and the Hunger Games is still getting big formats this week in the second week. And then next week fucking the Beyonce movie's coming out and it's gonna take over all of them. And then Wonka and then Aquaman, and so you have like there's just not enough big screens. Where Oppenheimer somehow hit the sweet spot. Oppenheimer hit the fucking sweet spot where not only did it have like a bunch of weeks like lined up, but then the strike happened anyway, so movies weren't coming in. So Oppenheimer was in the 70mm IMAX at Lincoln Square for like 2 months, and now you're gonna have Wonka, which by the way I think they're hiding Timothée Chalamet in this trailer. You like hear him, but like don't see him talk in the trailer. You see him, and then you hear him talk in a voiceover. I'm not starting conspiracy theories. I'm just curious about. Yes, I am. I'm fucking sorry. But anyway.
Wait, you get buzzed for conspiracy theories? What's going on?
It was definitely negative for sure. Anyway, I need more IMAX movie. I need more screens. I need more IMAX screens in these theaters. I'm sorry. They don't have to be as big as the Lincoln Square one, but I need more.
No, they do.
While we're on the topic of petty gripes,
okay. Go see Napoleon in theaters.
I have a little one. Go and see Napoleon. I'm probably going to see it as well, just for the experience. But I just want to quickly talk about Disney Marvel.
Start the 1 minute grade timer, Dave. Start the 1 minute. Are you going to talk about how the Christmas movie, the Valentine's movie, should be switched or what?
No. What I'm pissed off about is I've been trying for about 2 weeks now to pre-order the Marvels. And it is not available. Now, I used to be able to walk out of the theater on the same fucking day. I walked down the theater after seeing Spider-Man, pre-order. I walked down the theater after seeing, any other one of those films that I wanted to have in my collection, pre-order. And it was fine. They are not putting this up for pre-order, and I want to fucking know why. Because everyone's talking about how much the Marvels didn't make. And how much the Marvels was bad, and no one's talking about.
Well, now you know why.
Well, yeah,
I think you answered your own question.
No one's talking about. I preemptively buzzed you there. No one's talking about how like the Marvels is the highest grossing film by a female black director and things like that ever in the history of film. And I actually really fucking enjoyed it, and I want to pre-order it, and it's not available for pre-order, and I'm pissed off.
Which is funny because we're going to be talking about Disney making a shit ton of money when we talk about Frozen 2 in our part 2 episode coming up here. And when we get to talking about 2019, we'll talk more about Disney making a lot of money. But Dave, good point. Very good. Because what I know about Disney is they know how to market and they know how to make money. And I feel like they are baffled by their own appointments of Marvel. They don't even know how to handle their own fucking studio that they bought in this time, in phase whatever they're on now. I feel like they don't know how to, I don't know. That's like the one hole in Disney having any idea what they're doing, apart from the recent like corporate.
I agree, but that was negative.
I think they just like buying properties and running them into the ground.
Yeah, it's not fucking Monopoly. Like. It's like, yeah.
John, any thoughts about that?
Station.
Any friends of yours getting hired by Disney to produce a right that you want to protect here or what?
No, I mean, Dave, I think it's a funny.
John's like, move on.
I think your gripe speaks to the pandemic of fandom that we're experiencing. I should be able to walk out of a movie theater and pre-order a movie. Like, come on, dude. Like,
what? I've been able to.
John's remembering the time when it took like a year before the VHS.
You can pre-order it, and you've been able to up until this point. You can pre-order it. You don't get it for 2 or 3 months, but you can pre-order it. So you can go, all right, I want to buy that right now because I really enjoyed it. Done. The movie gets more money. I don't see what the disconnect here is. Like, why is this one not up for pre-order when everything else has been?
Until they open the vault, and then there's going to be a Pizza Hut ad at the beginning of it. That's for people in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm not even buzzing that. That was good.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Did it do really bad though?
Which one?
Like I don't know anything about it. I was going to see it, but it was out of my theater so quickly.
Okay, yeah. Highest grossing film by a female black director.
It is the lowest grossing film.
It's the lowest grossing Marvel film.
It's the lowest grossing Marvel film, and that's the headline.
That's what everyone's focusing on.
But at the same time, of course it's going to be, because it's not their fault. You know, it's momentum. You're only as good as the last movie you made. And
but to Dave's point, if it was the lowest grossing, you'd probably want people that actually liked it to pre-order immediately.
Yeah,
totally. Because there's a lot of people.
Dave is trying to save Disney.
They're trying to save Disney.
Let him,
no, I went and had a good time with their film.
Let him do it.
All right, you guys ready to?
Yeah.
You guys ready to talk about 2019?
Yeah.
So 2019 is the year that Disney Studios made over $10 billion to the worldwide box office in 1 year.
Yeah.
I don't feel sorry for them.
Let's all take the high and low.
But they don't want my $20.
The high and low. What's the over/under on which made more money, Rise of Skywalker or Endgame?
I think you know the answer of that.
Yeah.
I'm actually not sure. I don't know where I would put my money on which one made more money.
I'm pretty sure it was Endgame.
Sure?
Endgame made so much more money.
I would guess Endgame, but I don't know.
I would probably guess Endgame too.
So you don't trust the numbers?
Guaranteed billion-dollar movies?
Yeah, see, Rise of Skywalker had like a female in a lead role, so that's not going to make as much as Endgame in America.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
I think it's still the number 3 movie of all time. Number 4 movie of all time. Avatar, Titanic. Okay, anyway, 9 movies made $1 billion. 9 worldwide. Can you guys name 5 of them?
Oh my God Almighty! Jesus
Name
Christ.
5 movies that made $1 billion in 2019. There's 9 total.
What were the other?
We've talked
films?
about several of them, I think, at some point. Don't look them up. Don't look them up. I see the screen. I see the screen brightening your face. Fuck it. This is terrible audio if you're just going to look it up. Avengers Endgame was obviously number 1. It came out in December, so most of the money they made. No, that was from the year. Fuck everybody.
I have a bad memory, so I won't remember any of that.
That came out in 2018. But this is on Wikipedia. Lion King made $1.6 billion. Frozen. We'll talk about Frozen 2, but that was number 3. Far From Home made a ton of money.
Aladdin?
That technically came out at the end of 2019. Captain Marvel made $1 billion. Toy Story 4 made $1 billion. The Rise of Skywalker again made $1 billion. Joker made $1 billion.
Damn.
And Aladdin made $1 billion at the worldwide box office.
That's
right.
crazy.
Joker made $1 billion.
Yes, Joker did make $1 billion.
I mean, the Joker is the one thing that will get every DC fan off their fucking ass into the theater. The Joker is like has a huge fandom.
It's weird that the King of Comedy probably got like a fraction of that, even though it's the same movie. It's like, how did one get $1 billion?
Yeah.
But that's a good. I think that's really the story, is that we were on this path where it was almost like, how is the bubble not bursting? Hobbs and Shaw made $760. Jumanji
That's fucking
2,
insane, actually.
the next
Hobbs
level.
and Shaw.
Yeah, it's made $760. Jumanji, the next level, almost $800 million worldwide. How to
That
Train
was a
Your Dragon,
poop pile,
The
too.
Hidden World, made over half a billion dollars. Maleficent 2, Mistress of Evil, made $489.
Haven't seen either
Chapter
of those.
2 made $467. Tons and tons and tons and tons of money. And then now people don't want to go back to the theaters. This pandemic, like, everybody just shifted entirely. And of course, streaming took over. We can talk about that until forever. Really quick. We're talking other big movies that came out this year. Ford vs. Ferrari was sort of on our list. The Irishman was dropped on Netflix. That was a big thing. Jojo Rabbit, Little Women, Marriage Story. And Little Women in 1917 was the basis for our first ever podcast, my friends.
Yes.
Little Women, episode 1, Little Women, and... 1917. We also talked about Cats.
That was a really good burp.
I don't have to watch that. Thank you so much.
Definition.
And Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Joaquin won his Oscar. Renee Zellweger won her second. People tend to forget. Don't forget. Renee Zellweger won her second. Brad Pitt category frauded his way to an Oscar. We'll talk about him more here in a second, but he was definitely not a supporting lead in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Laura Dern won for Marriage Story. I feel like some of those are just like distant memories, even though it was only a couple years ago. Taika Waititi won for Jojo Rabbit, and he has been in threesomes every day ever since. Anybody? You guys follow your...
What?
you guys don't follow Taika, do you? Okay, so Toy Story 4 won animated film.
OnlyFans or something?
Ford vs. Ferrari beat Ad Astra for best sound editing. And Joker won score for Hildur, who's back. Elton John won, Bernie Taupin won an Oscar. 1917 won some shit. Roger Deakins wins his second, Dave. And then other notable movies include Bombshell, The Lighthouse, but going on around the world, last thing I'll say, Hong Kong protests, the college audition scandal, shout out Felicity Huffman. Notre Dame Cathedral caught fire, sorry, Quasimodo. And in other events, the Amazon burned 80,000 fires were lit in the Amazon rainforest, the most in a decade, and burned an area the size of New Jersey into the middle of the most important rainforest in the world. Thanks a lot, global warming. The House impeached Donald Trump for the first time, and in 2019, Brexit was supposed to leave the European Union, but Prime Minister Theresa May had her plan voted down 3 times in the House of Commons, so she had to get the fuck out of Dodge. Boris Johnson won a Conservative Party majority, and took him forever until finally in December 20th, he somehow, in a snap election, which sounds totally reasonable, England decided they could leave the EU by the end of January 31st, 2020, and they suck even more for it. Thanks a lot, Britain. Well, we're going to talk about a movie that hates Britain, so I feel like we can start to hype it up now. Anybody want to highlight anything else from 2019 before we move on?
God, no, we're 27 minutes in. We're going to get complaints.
Anything else?
I think there was a little virus.
Oh, yeah.
That was named after this year.
Coronavirus.
Oh, yeah.
Like when,
Wait, did I say Parasite, by the way? Did Parasite win everything?
Yeah.
I said Parasite, right?
Yeah.
You didn't mention it, but yes.
We talked about Parasite on the show. We talked about a lot of shit from 2019 show. Parasite's good, guys. Go see Parasite. And Memories of a Murder, which we talked about, which is awesome. Memories of a Murder?
Yeah, we have talked about that. That's true.
We have to film another episode after this, people. James Gray's Ad Astra. Somehow a space epic that he made for $80 million before he was taken out of the editing room. $20 million more got pumped in, and then he was not allowed to do any more script updates. So they added Charlie Kaufman, who was an uncredited but definitely paid writer of many.
I did not know that. That explains a lot.
Damn.
James Gray said, apart from family issues, that's the hardest thing he's had to endure as a person's life. This was his most personal film, perhaps, until he made a film that was literally his autobiography.
Yeah.
Which we talked about, Armageddon Time. Shout out. Jeremy Strong sounds exactly like him, by the way. He sounds exactly like, if you want to know what James Gray sounds like, just go ahead and watch a clip of Jeremy Strong in Armageddon Time. Tommy Lee Jones, the king of getting paid millions of dollars to do 2 weeks of work. The king of it.
Not even.
Gets
like
the second
3
bill.
days.
He could have filmed this whole fucking shit from his ranch.
There was no post in any of his scenes, really.
Ruth Negga, who we love, is in this movie too. And then Donald Sutherland gets 4th bill. Again.
Why do I immediately distrust Donald Sutherland every time I see him?
JFK.
I don't know why, JFK. But yeah, it's something about that smile. It's like, you're up to something.
Is it because he ran the Hunger Games?
Yeah, maybe.
If you want space pirates that are actually cool, unlike Mandalorian Season 3, you got this movie.
Just holding a grudge.
I'm going to go ahead and give the synopsis of this film, and then I'm going to shut the fuck up and let you guys tell me what'd you think, what'd you feel in your rewatch, and of course, let everybody know if you'd seen the movie before. Astronaut Roy McBride.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt. By the way, Roy McBride is the least sexy name Brad Pitt has ever had in a movie. Roy McBride? It's not a sexy name. This is Brad Pitt.
It feels believable, though, as that character, though.
Yeah.
Astronaut Roy McBride undertakes a mission across an unforgiving solar system to uncover the truth about his missing father and his doomed exposition that now, 30 years later,
God. I just realized Roy is short for Elroy. This is the live-action Jetsons.
I thought you were gonna go L. Ron Hubbard, but you said yeah. Sorry.
Jesus Christ, Dave. Ew.
Why don't we start with our guest, Mark? Had you ever seen Ad Astra before? Had you ever seen Ad Astra before?
Actually, you know what? Fun fact, I fucking love this movie. I saw it
Nice.
about 6 times in the theater when it came out, and I think I've probably seen it maybe a total of like 9 times. Not that I'll know anything in detail because I'm an idiot, but I love the movie because I think it's one of those movies I believe you have to have some sort of personal connection with it. It's not a movie that if you had like a great relationship with your father, you're gonna be like, this is the greatest fucking movie ever made. You're probably gonna be like, this movie's a depressing pile of shit. But because my father's very distant, and I do feel like the main character, not that I'm as capable as him, but just like hiding emotions and his father being distant, and also his father's sort of like almost cultish. Like my dad believed the end of the world was gonna happen twice. So I understand those characters.
I really want to unpack that, but we don't have time.
Like the isolation he feels.
That's
like
the episode right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's like it's sort of about like breaking cycles in families and the frustration of unrealized dreams and missing things that are actually important for these like large scope things that actually don't matter. I think it's a very good film about that. It has a lot of deep meaning, and there's a lot of this fucking movie every time makes me cry. I don't know why, but it's very moving to me. So I probably won't say anything negative about it because I love every part of it. Even like the space chimps slashing that guy, and when he says like, I've seen that rage before in my father, and it's the same rage he's trying to hide. And he's so composed up until the point. What I love about him, he's like a brutally honest character, and the only time he fluctuates for his heart rate is when he's lying, which means he's not used to that and he's not comfortable with it. So I think he's a good character, and I love Brad Pitt's performance because it's very subtle. It's extremely quiet. Most of the emotions and expressions are done without dialogue. His message to his father when he decides not to read is heartbreaking, and it's one of his best fucking performances, I think. I love him in this movie, and I will always root for him. And I think this movie got snubbed. Do I have to drink when I'm gushing, by the way?
Yes, you do.
Ah, shit.
This is a damned if you do,
Mark
damned
just
if you
went,
don't podcast.
I don't have anything good to. I don't have anything lucid to say about this because I'm a piece of shit. And then he just said the most fucking beautiful, like literally on the poster, like at the above the marquee, worthy speech about this movie. And I think our listeners know exactly why this movie makes you cry after that opening speech. Oh my god, John recommended this movie, so we're gonna punt to Dave to make him sit and wait. Dave, you wanted to talk about the Robert Pattinson space movie.
I was
got this
late.
one
I hadn't
instead.
seen that, and I have seen this. And the first time I saw this, I did not enjoy it at all.
Ooh, good setup.
The second time, however, I really did, because I knew I already knew what was going on. And the reason I didn't enjoy it the first time is because of the marketing for this movie. They billed it as a space action movie because they showed the explosions and the falling and all the shit that happens in space, and not the stuff in between, which is where the story's hidden. And so when I went and saw it, I had these expectations of a completely different movie because they marketed it deceptively. So this time I sat down with zero expectations. I've already seen it. Let's go. And I just let myself get caught in the story. This is a fucking great film. Like, there's so much subtlety built into it. And like, the thing I like is every image in like the cinematography, the direction and stuff is so immaculately controlled. It never sinks into like the fantastical version of sci-fi, which would have ruined the story that's hidden in amongst. It's like they don't go over the top of the tech. They don't go over the top of the effects. It's very well balanced. I enjoyed it a lot on the second time round.
John.
Nice. Am I still fucking delayed, you guys?
Well, you're dropping it out.
You're having a tough time hearing me and seeing me.
No, we can see you.
Don't worry about it. I don't want. You don't have to beat yourself up over that.
Because I might just go in the other room. Jeff, do you want to talk, and I'll
No, you're
go
doing
set
great.
up in the next room. I'm gonna just carry my computer
I
in
think
there.
it's okay. What do you guys think? Give him a shot. Want to talk about this here?
Yeah, let's give him a shot.
Let's see what
and
happens.
Give it a shot, and if it goes out, we'll let you know.
Okay. I really like this movie. Mark, I was trying to remember if you and I saw it together or if you and I just ended up talking about it pretty quickly after I saw it and you had already seen
Well,
it.
you've seen
I
it
think
9
we may
times. You
have
got good odds.
Because I
texted
had
each
one of those
other
great
back and forth, I think.
Yeah. I had one of those great experiences where not so good for the movie, but I had not seen it near like on opening weekend or maybe even the second weekend. But I went by myself, pretty sure, to Times Square at Dolby, and there was like nobody there. So I was in like this theater alone, which was a really powerful way to watch that movie. This is Heart of Darkness in space.
Yeah.
I think it really is that tale. And if you enjoy broody, reflective, meditative, tonal, very heavy drama stories, you know, I would be shocked if you didn't respond well to this movie. I really, really liked it when I saw it. And I had a wonderful rewatch last night. I could not agree more, Mark. I think Brad Pitt, I mean, you know, we know him so well. There's such a strange familiarity when you put a gigantic movie star into a film that is supposed to be about a very specific kind of character. And we all know Brad Pitt. He doesn't usually play parts like this. When you think back to Apocalypse Now, Martin Sheen was a known actor, but not a gigantic movie star yet. And I think in some ways that allowed him in Apocalypse Now to be a real vessel for that kind of narrating character. But Brad Pitt fucking owns this thing. Like you need his stardom. We need to believe that we know somebody who's that capable. You know, that's almost like this perfect human being, and then just deconstruct them. I think it could have been a tall order if it was supposed to be somebody who just looked like that, versus Brad Pitt does have like this perfect kind of thing about him, and nothing really does seem to get to him. And we love that so much about him. So I think that is absolutely brilliant. Tommy Lee Jones is one of my absolute top favorite actors. So the performances are not that many characters, but they're so strong. One of my favorite moments in this movie might be at the end of the tape that Brad Pitt is watching, where he just says, Tommy Lee Jones, basically, it just ends so quickly. A shittier actor would have made a real meal out of the final beat, but he basically ends his speech, "We're going to find life out there. I love you so much, my son, and I miss you." The way he just goes right into that, "I love you, my son, and I miss you." Like, there's just so many moments like that where you can see that we are in a very, very weighty, heavy kind of film. But Brad Pitt's narration is very pedestrian, and it works really well. And I think Tommy Lee's, all his tapings are very scientific and pedestrian, and they don't feel melodramatic. I think it's visually stunning. I think it's visually expressive and not very realistic in an awesome, effective way.
They do a car chase in Zero G. It's fucking amazing.
That was such a great scene.
Really cool.
Holy shit.
Like the production design on this is
the music's great, isn't it?
Music's
Isn't
amazing.
Their score fucking
and it blends well with the sound
to the
design
stars.
too. It's gorgeous.
Uh-huh.
Oh, John froze.
Jeff, what about you, dude? What'd you think? Oh, weird. You froze on mine, and they were not frozen. That was weird. I got you.
I should also say I'm still mad that every time I look up Brad Pitt on IMDb, his producing credits come up first, and like, come on. What the fuck are the odds that somebody's on IMDb looking up to see what movies he's producing? No, they want to see where his face is going to be next. Jesus Christ.
I think it puts your hired number category like with more credits at the top. Now, I think that's what it does.
Oh.
Yeah,
so you have no control over it.
Yeah, but if you're a super celebrity with a ton of money in a production company, of course you're going to be producing 9 films a year. But
so that goes at the top. Maybe he can't afford IMDb Pro. I don't know.
Maybe he can't afford IMDb Pro. Wow.
I don't think he has ever visited IMDb.
I disagree. I bet you he has. I bet you he looks up his co-stars. Or even people. You know what? Everybody shut up. I love this movie. So it's so funny, too, because this movie, look, you can't help but comp why is it that all the space dramas, and by space dramas, I mean not Star Wars, not the Star Trek, although you could argue about the fucking genre, I don't give a shit. But I mean Interstellar, 2001, etc. They all seem to be similar in the sense that there's like this, you go far out to try to like understand yourself more and where you came from more and connect more, love, gravity, etc. Maybe I'm just like lumping them all too much, but it does kind of feel that way. One thing that always happens in these movies that I think this does the best out of all of them. What's the George Clooney one, by the way, during the pandemic? We watched this movie. It was nominated for some Oscars. And I think,
Solaris.
and I think that movie was good. but most people I think watched it at home, so the reviews weren't very good. It came out late in the season. I think people were tired from a big Oscar
not
blitz
Solaris.
that year.
That's the Soderbergh. You're
Not
talking about Midnight Sky.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I fell asleep through that one.
This movie, it's funny when you watch these movies. I feel like one thing that we say all the time, and I feel like even Napoleon probably had to deal with this, is like, how do you get it grounded? Like grounded in its own, grounded in itself. Everything has to get grounded. When you're there, he's in 0G the whole movie in essence. I feel like he's never grounded. The movie's never grounded. He's never grounded, and that's kind of the point. He's sort of suspended in time on this like bullet stream between Earth and the Moon and Mars and Neptune. And you know, it's hard to tether myself as an audience member while he is so, I don't know where he exists. I don't know where he lives. And so where else can you tether besides his inside? And so therefore he does become that, you know, metaphoric vessel that you really want. And through Brad Pitt, I feel like it is not emotionally tiring or even taxing, but there is this like gripping element where it does ask a little bit of an audience member to get on board, because you're going, and if you want to have any idea where we are, you just have to trust him and just connect with him. Because literally, like, if you take your eye off the ball, all of a sudden you're like, wait, am I on Mars now? You know what I mean? Like, where the fuck am I in space? Like, is this crew gonna die? Like, it's out of nowhere. Like, there's nothing grounding us into any semblance of reality other than emotion, love, all of these things that are universal. And I think through that and through his subtle performance, I think this is one of his best performances of all time. And to me, what's funny about that is his best scene in the movie, to me, is a scene where he's talking into a microphone to nobody except for the person who's going to receive this message, I imagine, in a year. It's like, it's hard to even equate that to anything else other than I gave myself over and he took me all the way. And it was a really, really powerful experience. And the Heart of Darkness thing is great. There were some bumps along the way, good bumps. I mean, not bumps as in filmmaking. I mean, like action bumps that maybe one could argue the baboons was just like jump scares, even though it was really fucking awesome to see that guy see the baboon try to bite Brad Pitt's face off through a space mask. That's pretty fun. Yeah. To see space pirates. How are these people up there? Who is funding them? You know, like that's all stuff that you can sit there and be like,
kind of rooting for the baboon too. It's like,
but at the same time, it is.
Kill that motherfucker.
You could purely go the metaphoric route too. I think this is, I can't believe they did this for $80 million. I imagine a lot of it went to sets and just the lighting. And Brad Pitt was just cool with being suspended above ground for hours and hours. And apparently the moon crater was done in Death Valley. But yeah, I was blown away.
Well, apparently, like a lot of these, like the space scenes, once Gravity came out and did it, it was done. It was easy.
Oh, Gravity. There's that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chivo. Appreciate it.
Yeah, because they develop the techniques. The one thing I want to touch on though quickly is the writing in this, because it's written in such a style. Like, and I love the inner monologue as the voiceover. I'm also a sucker for that in Blade Runner. I actually prefer that version where it has the monologue over the top. But the writing is such a style where they're not pulling you, like they're not overselling it. It's like, okay, the moon is divided up into nations, and then while he's having the interaction with the colonel, he's like, oh yeah, I've done this and this, and he's like, oh, so you've seen some action. And they wrote it in the style that basically he makes a reference to something that happened. You don't know what it is, but that guy does, and your reaction, like his reaction, dictates how much you should infer from that. Mm-hmm. So because he's like, oh well, shit, yeah. Like, you're like, okay, that was a shit show, whatever that was. You know nothing about it, but they've communicated it in the most effective, concise, economical way possible.
But
just
I think
reacting.
What I like about that is it's a script that assumes that your audience is intelligent. They're not spoon feeding you everything.
Yeah,
you can infer from small conversations. Like a lot of TV shows and streaming stuff I watch nowadays, it's like these 5-minute. Like just two characters talking. My brother and I complain about this. So it's just two characters talking about some stupid scene that doesn't really fucking matter. And it's supposed to be like, this is how you get to know the character. But film is a visual medium. So if you're going to do any explanation, get that shit out of the way real quick and just go back to the visuals, because we shouldn't be getting info. It's not an audio dramatization. Yeah. We should be getting stuff quick. Yeah, exactly. But I think what I like about this movie, it's like, it's a tragedy, but it's also a very positive one. You actually get, it's pretty short movie to get the entire arc of this character, understand how he behaves and how he actually changes toward the end. because in the beginning, as he's walking through, he says, he's always looking for the exit. Don't touch me. And then he meets his father, and his father pulls back when he tries to touch him. And he's like, and I think from that, he realizes that he shouldn't be like his father. And the way it ends is someone's offering their hand and he takes it, and he doesn't like being touched at the beginning, but now he's accepting of it. It's such a simple way to tell the entire story. Just from those opening and closing scenes. It's brilliant, and it's very economic. So I agree with you, Dave. I love that about it.
Well, I mean, the best part about the way that's written is when you infer something, your imagination writes something way more detailed than they could possibly put on the page at that point.
Yeah.
So they've left it up to the viewer, which makes it like a subjective film almost.
I love too. It's so simple.
Exactly.
Sorry,
Yeah. No, that's what I was going to say, is that I feel like this is, again, the other Heart of Darkness stories that we've seen tend to be subjective. That I think that is the treasure of telling that kind of story. But like, use the different kind of film language to do that. The opening moment, we haven't talked at all about his relationship with Liv Tyler and the one he keeps referring to. That opening moment where he's standing there and she walks out and leaves the keys. Like how they seem to find like
that was a stab. It was a stab.
Yeah, it's brutal, right? They tend to find like these really essential moments where he's feeling the most of a decision or, the fulcrum of a scene, and they only show you that part. There really isn't a big start late, get out early kind of idea. And by doing that, it makes you kind of play catch up to him, which I think, going back to what you were saying, Jeff, is really effective for this because within that subjectivity, you need to only know enough so that hopefully you'll catch up to him feeling all of the problems that we have almost observed only in that journey to Neptune, when he's finally consciously reflecting on his flaws. But up until that point, you're trying to kind of figure out, like, where is he and how does he feel about this stuff? And I think that's why it's so successful. I don't think you actually know who he is until he gets to his father's ship. And that's why it's so scary.
I don't know. He doesn't either. Yeah.
It's a good magic trick.
It's almost like he's...
Yeah. Well, it's a good magic trick, though. Because
it's funny, like when you...
No, go ahead.
It's like that awkward moment when you realize that your perception of your parent is entirely what you imagined when you like come face to face with the reality of what they are now. And it's he becomes basically not that. I don't want to be that. I want to be like something else.
Even though I
think he's sort of like confronting himself, basically. It's like he's going to meet himself, and he's like, oh shit, I don't want to be this version of this guy alone with a goal that pretty much makes no sense for humanity anyway. It's like, who gives a shit if aliens exist or not? We're still on this fucking rock anyway, and you got to get along and develop relationships.
Not able to face the reality of the fact that he was wrong.
Yeah.
And he became his dad by killing his... Sorry, we're spoiling this a little bit here, of course, but he killed his crew, and we saw what we saw, and that was really a step,
But it was kind of a cool parallel between him, like his father killing the crew, and then when Roy has to kill the crew of the spaceship that he's going with.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, he's like... It's sort of like you can see the parallels. One is done as a choice, and the other one is done as a reaction.
Yeah, my wife and I got a disagreement
still there
about the death of the ones on the ship that he commandeered, that he snuck onto, because it was like she's like, well, why are they treating him like this? It's like, I'm like, well, because he snuck onto the ship, he caused their death. And she's like, well, no, if they listened to their captain and got back in their seats, they'd still be alive. I'm like, oh shit, we're both right.
Yeah. You know what else?
He's not the captain.
He's not a captain, but he's.
But the guy, someone was shouting at her to get back in her seat. They're about to hit the rockets.
Really?
Just before that happened, that's when the rockets.
I thought over the comms you heard "destroy him at all costs."
Yeah, that was ground. Someone on the ship was shouting, "We're about to engage thrusters. Get back in your seat," and they didn't. They went for him anyway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did. You know what else is really cool about this movie is there's a lot of stuff that if you want the TikTok generation to only pick apart certain scenes, it has that element that like Star Wars has, where like a ship can just like crash land on a planet, and the ship's the size of like a rowboat, and it just flew from like a trillion miles away. And then they're like, hey, I need this ready in 4 hours. And they're like, got it. And then they're like, okay, in 4 hours, they just go get lunch and come back. And then they just fly away again. Like, obviously that doesn't happen here, but the money, the expense, all of the crash landings or almost crash landings, all of the destruction, all of the shit, and they just keep going. If only the MTA could fix one fucking switch on their track within 4 hours without ruining everyone's fucking life. And here they are crash landing a spaceship, and they're like, yeah, that'll be fine to fly in a couple hours.
Well,
and
the MTA doesn't exist inside a mall.
But but in truth, like, but even like whatever they did in the spaceship, like I would have thought it would have been like an F1 car where if they like tap each other, it's like my wing's destroyed. I have to come in. Oh, my sweet little wing because somebody fucking tapped me because the cars are made so specifically for aerodynamics. They are like any protective layer just adds weight, so they can't have any. For my F1 fans out there,
looking at you, Vegas.
Max Verstappen. Yes,
secure
Vegas.
your manholes.
But in this movie, it's like there's a whole battle. They're firing weapons inside the spaceship, and it's totally flyable.
Yeah.
It's like you could totally get even Brad Pitt. Oh, it's like 2.14 billion miles. Be there in no time. Oh, I have an idea. I'm just gonna use this shield like I'm fucking Princess Leia in the rewrites after she died of the Rian Johnson Star Wars movies, and I'm just gonna go from one spaceship to the other perfectly on sync. And it's but no, I'm making a point here because I'm making a point. Yes, I am. Fuck, it's gonna overflow. Come on. I'm making a point because that's not what we're talking about. And I know I'm bringing it up now, but that's not the stuff that we're talking about, because if you're a good filmmaker, you do it well enough. And James Gray said he wanted to make the most realistic space film ever made, which, you know, I don't know why anybody would even try to do that at this point, but like that's what he wanted to do for $80 million. And that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the how does spaceships land? How did he get from Neptune to Earth?
Why doesn't he have lateral velocity?
How does he eat? Does he pee? Where did he poop? Like, did he poop? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Well, that's
wait, guys.
Star Trek has a whole thing about that.
John has an Elon Musk shirt, so he has to tell us. Ah, shit.
Elon.
Also, I love the recruitment scene at the beginning. Very similar to Apocalypse Now, but I loved it, and it's so simple. That's the reason the script can be chill. Is it's like, hey, you fell almost to your death. You survived. That's a normal thing in this world. But we didn't call you in to do a debrief like fucking Moonfall. Shout out Moonfall, where we need to debrief everything. Actually, what can you tell me about this? You know this. Yes, that's right. Because that's your dad. We're going to send you. And they used the dad to hook, line, and sinker him. And then they used him as bait to get the messages out. And then they were going to send it back. It's so fucking simple. It's so fucking simple, even though we're bouncing around planets. It's so simple. I loved it.
There's also a theme that we haven't really talked about of, yes, there's all this money and space comm like this. I guess it's a corporation.
Yeah.
It's been privatized now. Shout out Elon Musk, I guess. That these things are happening.
Johnny's to get his buzzer count up.
Priority.
She says, thank you for flying with us. And my wife's like, well, what choices do they have? I'm like, well, obviously Amazon and SpaceX. Like,
good point. Hey.
They do land the rockets in this movie the way they land rockets at SpaceX, so maybe they learned something.
John knows.
But I feel like it is a.
What, they crashed him?
Like there is something to be said about the final observation that he makes with his father. He's like, "Don't let me fail, son. Don't let me have failed." And he said, "You didn't fail, Dad. Now we know. We're all we've got.
That's it."
And if you're going to fail, you're going to fail me. So I do think there is some commentary, and Elon Musk probably wouldn't like this. And I don't think they're trying to say that the only reason to explore space is for that. But this movie says explicitly in the pre-script, it is the reason that they are looking to the stars. That is the mission statement, to find life in other places. But I love that sequence at the end of those beautiful, incredible images of these other planets and how there's nothing there. And just the terror of realizing that we might actually be alone in terms of life, but there is this, space in these locations where we can at least expand to. But I think they did a really good job subtly without it being like a major in-your-face obstacle plot point of what isolation does as you move away. The further and further away you get from home. Yeah. And it kind of brings me to this point where I wanted to ask you guys, I think it doesn't bother me. when you have a plant and payoff, sometimes they're necessary just for that's how we write screenplays, because you got to think about it. When Donald Sutherland plants, son, I feel like I need to tell you, I have done this for a long time. And I got to, sometimes I have seen people use space exploration as a way to escape being here.
Yeah.
In a way to justify running from their problems. Do you think did that work for you? Do you think that needed to be said, or could we have discovered that by just watching the movie build up to a place where Tommy Lee Jones lives that lesson?
I feel like I think that thought needed to be put in his head.
It adds a bit of suspense. It adds a bit of suspense to it, because you're like, oh shit, is he the one firing these particle beams? Is he? It makes him more mysterious, because you don't know what he's doing out there. He's just, so you have all this conjecture, but I think all it does is it throws confusion into your mind, so you can't really guess what's happening. But it's also, by the way, going back to your point, John, I love that it's about, like, most movies are about, like, and then there's alien life, and then the aliens are gonna I love the fact that this is a movie about, like, aliens don't exist, and it's like, now there's proof that we're alone. I fucking love that. It's so different to me. Yeah. And I think it makes it I don't know, it gives it more.
I think
we're alone and we've turned the moon into a fucking Westfield.
But I think it gives us
Westfield.
To be honest, it's sort of like it gives humanity some perspective, because it's like, does our existence really matter if there's aliens or not? And some people are like, oh no, we're alone who gives a fuck? We're alive. Yeah. We should be celebrating that. We shouldn't have to realize that, oh, there's fucking aliens. That validates our existence. You know what I mean? And I love that message of the film. It's not about who gives a fuck if the aliens exist or not. Yeah. The fact that we're alive and we can interact with each other and love each other, that's great in of it itself. That's already a miracle, It doesn't have to be about fucking aliens all the time,
Stop giving NASA all our money. I'm kidding. That's not the Wait, to finish, to answer John's question really quick, and then to come back to what Mark was saying. To John's question, the answer to that question, should Donald Sutherland have said that line, only matters depending on how Brad Pitt responds to it. And Brad Pitt, he nailed his response. Because if Brad Pitt goes, oh, then he overplayed that message, right? Yeah. If Brad Pitt does nothing, then it's obviously redundant in a different way.
That's going to be relevant
what's
later.
More important is, do we see that Brad Pitt already knew that? Do we see that Brad Pitt learned that lesson? He gets to decide as the actor if that line is important or not. And I feel like James Gray trusts his actor. And also maybe he just needed to give Donald Sutherland that little... So maybe it was a little bit of a compromise. He needed to give Donald
Sutherland probably wrote his own line. He's notorious for it.
Wow.
But I also think, like, Brad Pitt's character understands that, because also when he finally meets his dad and his father's like, I never cared about you. And he goes like, I know, Dad. That is like, I think he understands already what's happening with his father.
He did that to his family too,
yeah.
Sorry, John, what you...
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like that's just not to give too much credit to Brad Pitt. He did a really great job, but that is on the page for him too. He's not ready to learn that lesson, so of course he's not going to hear it. I'm glad you guys agree. Let's celebrate. I mean, the Liv Tyler stuff worked really well for me this time. I think in theaters, the first time I saw it, I was a little bit like, is it really just pointing us at those kinds of moments that are like, and we've all seen those kinds of moments before, but I thought it worked really well this time. And I think it was because I was so emotionally affected by Brad's performance when he's waiting for her in that bar at the end. I don't know. It really got me. But the performance I really want to talk about for a second is, we were kind of laughing and joking about it, but we're probably not wrong. I think Tommy Lee Jones was probably on this movie for less than a few weeks. He was probably just doing, a sporadic schedule over a couple weeks. And the vulnerability, can you imagine being alone for over 30 years and then your grown-ups, the fear in his eyes when that shot, that wonderful, incredible trucking shot that takes Brad up and approaches Tommy Lee, the look on his face. First of all, I feel like it's important to remind people who maybe aren't as familiar with his work, because he's getting older, and I think a lot of generations who are growing up now probably didn't watch all of his movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. He never played parts like the vulnerability that he shows in this. I cannot remember, other than Lincoln, him doing something that has this amount of vulnerability. The fear that was in his eyes, it's incredible. He is a fucking master. He walked on set, played that scene for over like 2 days, and left. Like I can't even imagine doing that.
He
Son?
killed it. He
Yeah,
totally
I
killed
got
it.
the
Son?
feeling he asked all the right questions of the director and just
Oh yeah.
nailed it.
Also, I love that he had the high ground. So Brad Pitt's looking up, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Son, is that you?" Like the first person he's asking, like, "Is that you, son?" Which of course he knows it is. What the fuck else is it going to be? But I maybe it could have been other people. Would he have preferred the crew of three?
Well,
Would
he does
prefer-
have cataracts, so he does mention that he has cataracts and he doesn't
Yeah.
see
He has
well.
cataracts.
His teeth are probably fucked too. What is he eating? Spam, Dave?
Well, they had the
Like-
hydroponics. I think he floats
think
through a hydroponics section of the ship before he goes to see his father. There's that flashing.
The name of
Awesome.
the name of that weed is anti-gravity or whatever the rays are and shit. They are fucking unlike Apocalypse Now, where I feel like the further they go up that river, it's almost like the more life they encounter, and it turns into different life, and he's almost overwhelmed by eventually the Colonel having control over this like entire new world that he doesn't understand.
He's gone native.
They do such a good job, I think, of this being the exact opposite. But I mean, again, I just can't help but imagine the filmmaking. Like, I don't even think they were on wires for their real tight close-ups at the end
Oh,
of the
no
Let
way.
Me Go,
No,
the Let Me
no.
Go
I don't think
sequence.
so. Yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, that is I ever since seeing this movie, and I listen to that music sometimes, the Let Me Go, but it is that is one of those moments that was etched into my mind. I say that sequence in my head all the time. The power in Tommy Lee's performance. You got to let me go, Roy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
By the way, but
I mean,
also
it's just like
in
fucking
Cut me loose.
that
yeah.
scream Brad Pitt does and that extreme
yeah.
wide shot
whose
is
scream is
fucking
it?
so. I think it's Brad Pitt. He's finally that buildup of emotion, and he's finally let his father go.
Yeah.
He's released that,
It
and
is-
it's that.
it is Brad
it's
Pitt.
sort of like it's sadness. It's cathartic, but he can move on with his life. But unfortunately. He has to let go of his dad to do so. And I don't think I've heard a couple people tell me that like the Liv Tyler seems like, she's only in it. She's kind of a throwaway, but you really need her. It's like, that's to show his change, the change from like her leaving him and him just being like in his own thoughts in his head on that couch. And then him choosing to come back and build that relationship. It's a fucking fantastic movie. And I love that about it. It seems tragic, but it's also a very positive movie, and it shows that your control of yourself is not your heart rate. It's like your control is your ability to let yourself open up to other people and have them receive that and do the same thing to someone else. It's not the like locking your emotions away inside this body and just like, I can't go over 86 on my heart rate. You know, that's actually, he
So
is
good.
imprisoning himself
So
by
good.
doing that.
Compartmentalization is not good for your kids. I just want to also point out one thing that they laid breadcrumbs for, because
lens flares.
Ad Astra too?
no, my wife was like, "What's he doing in a bar? Like, why is he not being court-martialed?" And I'm like, they laid the groundwork for this all the way through the film. Like, his dad did all this shit, and they covered it up. Like, they knew that he'd already killed all the crew out there, and they covered it up
whole thing
and
was
made him a
secret.
hero because they didn't want it to get out because it's a corporation. And it kind of laying that groundwork, and then him in the bar meeting up with her when they helped him out of the ship. Next thing he's in the bar. It implies they've done the same thing to him.
Well, to me,
They've,
here's the thing: is
just swept the three people he killed
actually,
under the rug.
Here's the thing: is like his father has just that really crazy, almost Event Horizon style audio clip, right? But he mentions that he's sending back that information in the feed, and history will be his judge. So I think they can assume from that he wasn't in the wrong, and also he followed through. He destroyed the Lima project, so he completed the task.
He saved
that
the world.
Thing was unfortunately an accident that he killed those people, and
Yeah,
and he
but
did it. It wasn't really
I personally
him. It
think
was
that
just
I personally
really
think they
an
swept the
accident
whole thing under
almost.
the rug and made him a hero, just like they did with his father earlier. And that's
Maybe.
why he was sitting in that bar.
Well, let's bring it home. Because I want to bring up, just because we said it at the top, there were so many movies this year that did like crazy numbers, and mostly coming out of a very large corporation that has a lot of power with really good marketing. But a movie like this, which I think we all thought it was pretty good. This was a really good adult drama.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just takes me back to my song I keep singing. Everybody went and saw movies that are maybe we could, I don't want to get into the weeds of saying like whether or not we thought they were good, but they were a certain kind of movie, mostly franchise, mostly recognizable IP. This movie did make its money back worldwide. I think it did 150 something with an $80 million budget. that's not a failure. But I mean, I still just think like this is a sign of the times. It's a real travesty. This was one of the best years of the decade, in my opinion, for the adult movies, the Oscar movies, and but I think sadly the takeaway was that people did go to the movies that year, just not those movies. They went and saw the big ones. And I don't know. I still just think that's a real sign of the times, and I think it's fucking bullshit. And if you're out there and you're listening to this,
it's your fault.
Take a chance and go see the holdovers.
Go see the holdover.
It is your fucking fault.
I have noticed a change.
Don't see fucking Endgame for the third time.
I must say, since we came back from pandemic, I have noticed a change in the screenings we're going to, because like you go to the big blockbusters and the audience is half full, but you go to, for instance, Armageddon time and it was packed. The theater was packed.
I hope it's just that.
So, like, the indies are definitely getting.
We're seeing Armageddon time in New York City, right? Where there's like.
But like that's the thing. It's still packing cinemas in New York City, but the other ones aren't.
The suburban versus rural divide, or the urban versus rural divide.
Dave, how packed was your theater for the Marvels?
I would say a third.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not very good.
No, it was
New
not
York
good
City.
at all. Mind you, I was seeing it at 9:30 in the morning because I had to go to set straight up on the back of that. Like I had gear pickups to do and then go straight to set for the weekend. But so 9:30 in the morning, a third full is not
9:30
bad.
in the morning. That's true.
Well, I'll wrap this up by Brad Pitt talking about all the data that they collected from all the stars, the pictures of all the planets and everything, and the quote that Brad says about Tommy Lee Jones's work. They were beautiful, all the planets, all the celestial sights that they saw. But underneath them, there was nothing. No love or hate. All he saw was what wasn't there and missed what was right in front of him. And so back to that moment where he finally sees his son again. 30 years, no, I'm going to keep looking at it. I don't care about you. I didn't care about your family. But he's like, oh, wait, I was wrong in a way, or I learned a lesson or something.
In a way,
and then he's like,
wrong.
cut me away. I need to get the fuck out of here. I'm gone, but you can go home. And then Brad Pitt's like, I can't wait to show my son this. And it's like, your son? What? You better start get into some baby making as soon as you get back. I thought this movie was fucking cool. I'm really glad we chose it.
Yeah.
By the way, I think his father lets himself go. One of my thoughts was that he does it because he's also come to the realization that all of his actions he's done, there's no way for him to reintegrate.
Yeah.
Like he has to pay for what he did.
It's true.
Like the daughter of one of the crew members, he killed her parents, There's
Ruth Negga,
and she knows
awesome.
it. There's consequences to that. So
I mean, he was too far gone as well.
That,
like,
he knows he can't go back to he's been away for too long. He's been alone.
His whole reality is broken. Like everything he bet his life on.
By the way, I see that. By the way, I do see that with my dad too. It's this not to bring it back to me and my dad, but here's the example. It's like when I go see my dad, and it's been such a long time because he's not really into like having visitors. There's these moments where he's upset and annoyed that I'm there, and I have to stay there for like after the first day. Then he understands that he has to like reintegrate and socialization is practice, and if you don't have it and you're isolated, it totally changes your perceptions of things. And I think it makes it a lot harder for you to come back to people and interact with them because you now see them almost as a nuisance, which is why his father reflexively pulls back from him because he's alone. He doesn't really want anyone there, to be honest. Do
you get nervous when he hands you a drink?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
No, my dad's a very sweet person. He's just has isolated himself, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think every family in America has one of those right now. Somewhere.
Mark, you're totally right though. He has that line about the I will be with others, their burdens will be my burdens. Like that, anyone who's been like maybe single for too long or has kind of lived an isolated existence, everybody coming out of the pandemic, I think we all kind of remembered this movie probably would have done really well coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah,
it just happened like a year too soon.
I think I want to be honest. I think I actually watched this in 2020.
Sure.
Would have been intense.
Can I just say my favorite line in the whole film is when in the voiceover where he's like, "We are world eaters," because they conquered the moon and turned it into a strip mall, basically.
Yeah, and they have like the DHL logo, and there's like some Japanese restaurant that's a chain. It's pretty funny.
I'm going down with this ship. I'm not leaving this fucking planet. You people that are like, let's go out there. I'm like, you guys are insane. This is so dumb. Can we just fix this planet? We don't need many more people, fewer people, and don't stop fucking with our resources. And
Just stop fucking in general.
Stop. Ever since this fucking 1982 Ronald Reagan SEC fucking stock buy, all these mega corporations take our fucking liquid money and throw it up into the cloud, aka their stock price, and it's pretend money until we sell it or until it falls dramatically because of nothing. It's bullshit. Our resources are getting plummeted and they're getting turned into a fucking cloud storage. It's bullshit. I fucking hate it. And there's no way that anybody's going to be able to afford $150 for a fucking pillow on a fucking space flight.
Okay, boomer.
It's okay. It's $125, Jeff.
Only gonna make us poorer in the long run.
Ostermuller
Fucking hate stock buybacks. Fuck your shareholders. Fuck your 401ks. Stock buybacks are the dumbest piece of shit that's ever happened in this planet.
You know, if we leaked this podcast, he'd probably get all the votes.
Guys.
Honestly, drop the mic, dude. That's great.
We're running long here. We've only got Frozen 2 in our next episode, so I think we should do. You guys talk. We're a pop the trunk podcast, meaning whatever's inside the trunk is what's inside the trunk. We're gonna find out together.
Where did all these fuckers come from?
I say we do what you've been watching after Frozen 2, but I think we should spin the random wheel generator here. Fight me on it. What do you guys think?
Sure, let's spin the wheel, little man.
Let's fucking do it.
Okay, let's spin. So this is what we're going to talk about next week. Let's go. 200 2007. There will be blood.
Ooh. Oh my god.
No Country for Old Men.
Did they come out the same year?
Yeah, bro. Atonements. Start griping. This is the best Oscar category of all time. Supporting actor, which by the way,
this is quite a year.
No, wait, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's a different year. But there's some good shit. The best winner's circle maybe of all time. You got Daniel Day-Lewis. You've got fucking Javier Bardem for No Country for Old Men. You've got Tilda Swinton for Michael Clayton and supporting actress, and then you've got fucking La Vie en Rose, one of the greatest biopic is like the one of the greatest performance categories of all time. But you've got fucking Marion Cotillard in La Vie en Rose. Welcome to the planet of an English-speaking, movie-going fucking culture. Oh my God, what a winner's circle!
So what are we gonna do?
Do we want to take a sec? Do we want to hit our marks and talk about it?
Let's go.
Dave, do you want to talk about it now, or do we want to pause?
And we're back.
All right. Next week, film fans, you're gonna have
2007.
to join us. Let's talk about 2007. The movie we have decided. Shit.
It was a very short argument, actually.
It actually was pretty quick. I do have to pee too, so that helped. But I think my friend John made the right suggestion. We are going to be reviewing David Fincher's Zodiac.
Ooh.
Which is a movie that's somehow in the award season kerfuffle got swallowed alive by all these other movies, but in truth, it is so good. I've seen it twice, and it's been years apart, and it's so good. And I can't wait to rewatch it and talk about it with you all.
I've never finished watching it, by the way, because in my theater, they started doing like work, and just all of a sudden, like when they're about to talk to the killer or something, these drills just went off up until the end of the movie, so no one could hear any dialogue.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
AMC.
Times Square?
AMC.
Yeah!
Of course.
We love it. Oh my God. Zodiac next week. Also, we'll do our What You've Been Watching after our Frozen 2 episode, which, come on, guys. This is like part A, part B. You've got to listen to Frozen 2 after this. And if you listen to real time, thank you so much. We appreciate you being a supporter. Can't wait to see you on Thursday when we talk about Frozen 2. Anything else before we go, my friends?
Hit us up on socials.
Yes.
Come at us.
Phone number as well.
Check out the Matt and Mark movie show.
Oh, yeah. We should plug it as well.
Yeah.
All right.
It's met with silence. It's a great show, everybody.
Oh, wait. Here you go.
Ah, shit.
The Mad Mark Show.